How to make a prototype car from clay or soil. Creating a prototype car using clay or soil is a classic method used in automotive design. This technique has been employed by car manufacturers and designers for decades to bring their visions to life before committing to full-scale manufacturing. By sculpting a model from a moldable material such as clay, designers can make changes to the design more easily, allowing for better refinement of the vehicle's proportions, aerodynamics, and features. While automotive clay is typically used in professional design studios, soil can also be an alternative if you are looking for a more DIY or rudimentary approach. In this guide, we will explore the step-by-step process of making a car prototype using both clay and soil, emphasizing the importance of precision and creativity at each stage. Materials and tools you'll need. Before you begin, it's essential to gather all the necessary materials and tools for the sculpting process. Here is a comprehensive list. For clay sculpting, 1. Automotive clay. This is a soft, malleable material that holds its shape well and is designed specifically for automotive prototyping. It can be purchased from specialty suppliers. 2. Water. Clay needs moisture to stay workable, so you'll need water to keep the surface moist. 3. Sculpting tools. Use a range of tools for shaping and detailing, such as spatulas, rakes, knives, brushes, wire brushes, sculpting sticks. 4. Calipers and rulers, to measure and maintain proper proportions. 5. A turntable or platform, to rotate the clay model for ease of working from all angles. For soil sculpting, 1. Soil, preferably loamy or clay-based. It should be mixed with enough moisture to make it moldable, but not too wet. 2. Water, to mix with the soil for a workable consistency. 3. Basic sculpting tools, similar to those used for clay, such as spatulas, knives, or even basic garden tools. 4. Wooden frame, for creating a skeleton to support the soil model. 5. Wire mesh, optional, to reinforce the soil structure if needed. 6. Measuring tape, to ensure correct proportions. Workspace. 1. Large flat surface. You'll need a large table or workbench to lay out the frame and work on your model. 2. Good lighting. Proper lighting will help you see all the fine details and ensure precision. 3. Dust control for clay. Make sure the workspace is free of excessive dust, as it can damage the smooth surface of the clay model. Step 1. Setting up the framework, 200 to 250 words. Before we begin sculpting, we need to establish the foundation, the framework. Whether you're using clay or soil, a stable structure is essential for defining the shape of your car. The framework will act as the skeleton of the model, providing a reference for proportions and ensuring that the car retains its intended shape as we sculpt. 1. Building the frame. The first step is to create a basic frame of the car. This can be done using metal, wood, or other materials. If you're working in a professional setting, you might use a steel or aluminum frame that outlines the major sections of the car. For a DIY approach, you can use wooden beams to create a rough outline of the car's body. 2. Ensure correct proportions. Using reference blueprints or 3D digital models, measure and construct the framework to match the car's dimensions. Be precise when creating the skeleton of the car. The proportions must be correct before you begin the sculpting process. Proportions will include the width, height, length, wheelbase, and overall dimensions of the car. 3. Reinforce with wire mesh. optional for soil. If you're using soil, you may want to reinforce the frame with wire mesh to help hold the soil in place. This is especially useful for larger models that might not hold their shape as well as clay. The mesh gives the structure some additional strength. Step 2. Preparing the material, 200 to 250 words. Now that we have the frame in place, it's time to prepare our sculpting material. Whether using clay or soil, the key is to get the right consistency so that it's moldable but still firm enough to hold its shape. 1. Preparing automotive clay. If you're using automotive clay, you'll need to break the clay into smaller chunks and knead it in your hands. This will soften the clay and make it easier to apply to the frame. You can also heat the clay slightly if it is too firm to mold. As you work, ensure the clay remains moist, as dry clay will crack. You may need to add a little water to keep it pliable. Preparing soil, if applicable. If you're using soil, you'll need to mix it with water to achieve the right consistency. Loamy or clay-based soils are preferable since they have a finer texture that holds together better than sandy soils. Slowly add water to the soil until you achieve a dough-like consistency. Avoid making the soil too wet, as it may become too heavy and difficult to shape. Test the consistency. After preparing the material, test the consistency. The material should hold its shape, but still be soft enough to mold with sculpting tools. If you press it with your fingers, it should leave an imprint, but not fall apart. Step 3. Shaping the basic car structure. 300 to 350 words. With our material prepared and our frame in place, we can start shaping the basic structure of the car. This is the first stage where the rough shape of the car begins to emerge. At this point, we're not focusing on details. Instead, we're defining the major components, like the hood, roof, side panels, and rear. Start with the basic outline. Begin applying the clay or soil to the frame in large sections. Start from the bottom and work upwards, applying the material to the lower body, followed by the roof and the car's sides. Make sure that the car's proportions are maintained. As you apply the material, press it down gently to ensure that it sticks to the frame securely. Form the major sections. At this point, focus on forming the rough shapes of the body. Work on large areas first, such as the hood, side doors, and rear. These sections will be your primary focus during the first stage of sculpting. Avoid getting into too much detail at this stage. Check for symmetry. Periodically step back and check the model from all angles to ensure it is symmetrical. If you notice any areas that look uneven, use your sculpting tools to correct them. Remember, the goal is to get a basic shape that is as accurate to your design as possible. Refining the shape. Use tools like spatulas, sculpting sticks, and your hands to press and shape the material into a smooth, even surface. As you shape the body, be mindful of how the curves flow and ensure that there are no rough or uneven sections that will need to be smoothed later. Step 4. Adding detail to the prototype. 350 to 400 words. With the basic shape in place, we can begin adding detail. This stage is where the prototype starts to really resemble a car. The major features, such as headlights, grills, wheels, and windows, are now sculpted in more detail. Sculpting the front end. Begin by focusing on the front of the car, which is one of the most iconic parts of any vehicle. Sculpt the front grille and headlights using finer sculpting tools like knives or wire brushes. The front grille is an essential feature that sets the tone for the entire vehicle's design. Be sure to make the lines clean and sharp to capture the car's look. Forming wheel arches and wheels. Wheel arches are one of the most important features of the car's profile. Use your sculpting tools to carve out the wheel wells. If you are sculpting with soil, be careful not to make them too large. For clay models, shape the wheel arches carefully to accommodate the size of the wheels. Shaping windows and doors. Next, focus on the windows and doors. Using your sculpting tools, carve out the window spaces along the sides of the car, and make sure the doors are aligned symmetrically. The door handles and mirrors can also be added at this stage. Refining the side panels. Once the major features are in place, move on to refining the side panels. Use your smooth sculpting tools to create soft, flowing curves along the doors and the sides of the vehicle. The side profile of a car is crucial for its aerodynamic performance and overall aesthetic, so take care to smooth out any rough spots. Add smaller details. At this stage, you can begin adding smaller details such as side skirts, spoilers, and air vents. These features will make the car look more refined and realistic. Step 5. Smoothing the model's surface. 250 to 300 words. Now that the car's shape and features are in place, we need to focus on the surface. This is the most crucial part of the sculpting process, as the smoothness of the model will determine how polished and realistic it looks. Smoothing the surface. Using your hands or broad sculpting tools, begin smoothing the surface of the clay or soil model. Apply a little water to the surface to help ease the smoothing process. This will give the car a clean, sleek appearance. Smooth out any bumps, lumps, or rough edges, ensuring that the model's lines flow seamlessly. Final refinement. At this stage, you should refine the curves and sharp lines of the model. Use a fine sculpting tool to make small adjustments to the details and ensure the proportions are perfect. Polishing. If you are working with automotive clay, you can use a damp cloth to polish the model for a shinier finish. If using soil, ensure that it remains moist enough to prevent cracks, but dry enough to hold its shape. Step 6. Final adjustments and inspection. 200 to 250 words. After spending hours sculpting, it's time for the final inspection. This is the moment where you check for any imperfections and correct any details that may have been overlooked. 360-degree check. Carefully inspect the car prototype from all angles. Check for symmetry and balance, ensuring that both sides of the car are evenly shaped. Use a ruler or calipers to measure the proportions and make sure that the design aligns with your blueprints. Refine imperfections. If you notice any rough edges or asymmetrical spots, use your sculpting tools to adjust and refine them. This is also the time to smooth any remaining rough patches and add final detailing. Finish and polish. Once you are satisfied with the prototype, step back and look at the overall design. If necessary, add final touches such as small details, grooves, or finishing details around the doors, windows, and bumper.